Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cool Water Show, where we are a podcast about the Real Housewives universe. We are here on behalf of Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. My name is Kari. I am joined by my co-host Katie. Katie, how are you on this Sunday afternoon?
I am good. I'm still on my first few sips of coffee, so that should tell you where my mental state is. But I'm good. I'm good.
How is the weather in New York? Because this is like the first nice day Chicago has had in legit like over 2 weeks.
It's a little chilly, but it's nice. It's sunny. It's pretty. It was like a little nice yesterday too, on and off, but I hope that this week is going to warm up a little bit. I hope. I don't know. We're
Yes,
in spring.
it has
Doesn't
not
feel
been
like spring
spring
has
here.
sprung.
It snowed yesterday
Oh no.
and the day before.
Oh my
Maybe
God.
I'm mixing up the days, but either way, it snowed within the last 48 hours to
Oh
the
my
point
God.
like it accumulated on people's cars.
Oh, that is like in New York, I'm sure maybe you guys say this too in Chicago, but we have this thing that we call fake spring. So it'll be like nice for a couple of days, and then you think like you're in the clear, and then winter comes back like full force. So now we're in second winter, and
Yeah.
hopefully real spring is coming soon.
Sorry, Nitro's and I should really
Nitro
close
has
those
feelings.
blinds. Hey, buddy, we're safe. It's okay. I'm gonna close those blinds the next time you start talking about something for more than 30
Okay.
or like 10 seconds, so that
Okay.
he doesn't do this. But yeah, something I learned about moving to Chicago, since like I'm originally from at least near you, where I
Hmm.
in Connecticut, is that like Chicago doesn't actually have spring. They go
Yeah.
from winter to summer. And
Hmm.
it's like,
Hmm.
what? Why? Like spring is either the first or second best season in my opinion. I will take fall or spring
Yes,
over.
I agree.
I also firmly believe that we are just like conditioned to like summer, and that it's
Agreed.
not that great. Like,
Hmm.
that's another podcast for another day called Hot Takes. And so, um, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I was just outside with Nitro, and I didn't have to put a jacket on.
Oh, that's
It was
so
nice.
nice.
I just wish our like backyard got more sun. But anyway, this is not about the weather. We are talking about the Real Housewives today. Um, we had Orange County and we had New Jersey this week. So 2 episodes. Last week we said it would be quick because there was only two, and then we almost talked for 2 hours. But I
Yes.
do genuinely believe that we're not going to have a ton to talk about
No, I don't think we
because
will.
both of us were like, wow, this was a boring week.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so we'll dive into Orange County and see where we get to with that. But I can tell I'm going to skip all the way to the end before we start with the
Okay.
beginning. The best news so far is that next week is the last episode.
I know we both were messaging each other when Carrie was catching up. It was like she was like, "Thank God," and I was like, I had the exact same reaction. I was sitting in my living room watching it. My boyfriend was there. He can vouch for me, and I was like, "Oh my God, finally, we've made it! We made it! They're putting us out of our misery with this show." And then hopefully the reunion's good.
Yeah.
Usually that's at least like a little more exciting than these boring shows.
Hmm. I just, it just seems like abrupt to me because I feel like we're at a place where there's some unsettled things that are they going to
Yeah,
get settled? So I was kind of shocked that they said next week is the last
I
episode,
know.
but also internally grateful because we have so much Housewives coming up that like
So
I couldn't
much.
handle having to go through Orange County when we know it looks like Dubai is going to be great. We know Atlanta is
Yes.
going to be solid at least. That and
Mm-hmm.
Beverly Hills is coming back, and like Beverly
Yep.
Hills is getting so much hype.
It
That
is. We got a trailer this week. It looks
yeah,
great.
there's so many. They have eight. Eight is too many for me.
Yeah,
That's
too many
like
housewives.
probably my one complaint. There's that new blonde who, like, she would be my first voted off the island if this was Survivor, just because there's too many of you, and I
Yeah.
already know the rest. My former. Uh, my former alliances are going to make it through at least the first vote for me because I just there's when there was what other season they did eight, was that a Beverly Hills season as well?
It might have been. It might have been.
Yeah, it's a lot for me. But anyway,
Maybe New York. I don't know. There is one that was a little
there's
bloated.
one season, and I read it somewhere, but forgot that we had eight, and I remember during that season being like, this is just a ton of people, but
Hmm.
it's all right. It's supposed to be good. So,
And we have Ultimate Girls Trip coming up soon too, in
oh
the
wow,
Berkshires. I don't know when that's coming out, maybe June
berserkers.
or something. I don't know if it's going to be called Rehugged 2, but we'll
Yeah,
see
maybe they've
what the name of it
workshopped
is.
the hashtag a little
Yeah,
bit.
hopefully.
All right, so thankful that this is ending. However, what is also ending is their trip in Aspen, I'm assuming. This has to be the last day or last episode we're in Aspen since next week. No, well, we get a little
It
bit of
seems
them
like we get
shopping.
like a preview for next week. They're really rushing this to the finish line. It feels like we've peaked at the last two episodes and now it's just like crashing down. We've had a very slow burn, then like a very abrupt peak and then a very abrupt ending.
All right, here's my conspiracy theory. Heather gets to the point where she's like, I'm absolutely not filming with Noella anymore. That's it. Period. I'm done. And they're like, okay, and last event of the season, we're pushing it up 3 weeks. Bye.
Maybe. I mean, at the same time, it feels like the show has been on forever, but just nothing has happened.
Yeah. Well, it's been the same three things, like Heather,
Yeah.
Noella, Gina, and Shannon.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's only two things. That's really it. And
Yeah.
then Emily like stirring the pot.
Yeah.
All right. So we have at the end of last week's episode, we had Heather and Noella deciding to have their like one-on-one conversation.
Mhm.
And Noella apologizes for hurting Heather's family, and then Heather makes the point of like, well, regardless of what you're going through, there's going to come a point that like my family and my shit is more important to me than anything that you've got going on in your life.
Yep.
What did you think of that statement?
I mean, I think that's how it should be regardless. Like you should always be putting your family and your life ahead of someone else's life. I mean, you can have empathy and sympathy for somebody. Doesn't mean it has to like displace the care for yourself and your family. It's just like a weird thing to say. But Heather just loves taking the high road, or at least what she thinks is taking the high road. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
So I thought that there was like going to be a bit of resolution at this point because in the same sense, like Noella is obviously putting anything she has going on in her life ahead of what's going on in anybody else's. Like
Absolutely.
so
And she's
can,
getting chastised for it.
right. So she can understand that statement. So I feel like if they end in there, been like, okay, I get it. I'm going through my shit. You have whatever goes on in the life of Heather Dubrow. Like, let's leave it at that. Let's try to move on. And then Noella's like, but did you put your hands on anyone? To which it just like crumbled.
Yeah.
And Heather just left the conversation.
You are a liar and a thirsty girl.
Yes. Thirsty girl. I want to know if I wish someone followed up with Heather and said, please explain what you mean to me or mean by that to me, please.
Yes, me too. I mean, Jen was standing in the background and looked very pleased. I don't know if you noticed. She like had a little like evil smile. I don't even know why she was there. Everybody else was downstairs eating chicken salad, which was kind of a mood. And Jen was just standing there like watching, smiling. But I love that Noella was like, I'm surprised you know what thirsty means.
Yeah.
Because like what? It's very hello, fellow youths to me.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. But we didn't get resolution. There's never going to be resolution. They're never going to get along. It doesn't matter if 5 seasons from now they end up on the same season. Like they won't get along then. Yeah. I think let's just stop trying to force it and just get to the point where like just be cordial. Don't address each other. Do not make a single personal statement to each other. It's not necessary.
Exactly.
Because it's the same cyclical argument every single time. I'm over it.
Me too. I'm very over it.
I can't remember if this happened at night or in the morning, but before Heather used the word, oh God, I've typed it out. I wish I had typed the phonetic pronunciation. Prevaricator? Prevaricator? Did you talk about Noella? Yeah. Did you know what that word meant?
No.
I can't even pronounce it.
I have no idea.
Right now. But I didn't get a red squiggly line on Google Docs when I typed it out. So
and you're a teacher, so
was one.
But no, once a teacher, always a teacher.
2, My go-to line whenever someone's like, "Well, you're a teacher," I'm like, "But I was a math teacher, or I'm a math
No, but
teacher."
still,
Like,
you're
I
very
can
highly
add,
educated,
I can't read.
regardless.
So yeah, I've never heard this word. And then I
Yeah,
was
she's
very happy
pretentious.
that was it Shannon or Gina? No, it was Gina. Was like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, same Gina. Thank you for
Yeah,
asking that. 'Cause
unfortunately, same.
I wasn't going to Google it, but I was also wondering what it meant.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you just call her a liar? I've
right.
literally never heard that word in my life.
Well, because Heather has to look down her nose at everybody and feel like she's the smartest person in the room, the richest person in the room, the most highly educated person in the room. Like she just has to put herself on that pedestal. And
Mhm.
that's why she uses words like this and says, like, acts the way she does and like puts on this show for people because she has to
Mhm.
feel like she's the highest brow of all of the high brows.
Anyway, that was scene one of like 12 of Heather continuing to bring up the previous night.
Yeah.
She
Oh
used
my
the
God.
same Tylenol joke about not having a pain in the ass at least 3 times.
Oh my God.
And
She's so embarrassing. She's just embarrassing.
I wish she would just stop bringing it up. Like, we get it. We know you two don't get along,
Right.
but to consistently bring it up throughout the whole next day. I could understand pulling someone aside, maybe Gina, and you just like go the fuck off about it. I would
Yeah,
probably
that's
do
what
the
normal
same
people
thing
do.
and
Yeah.
then be like, all right, gonna let this go because no one needs to hear me beat the same dead horse for the next
Right.
48 hours or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that was like what 4 or 5 different times throughout the episode. Heather
Mhm.
brings it up. So that next day they had a bunch of activities planned, and by a bunch I mean like 2 or 3. And the first one's archery, where everyone's supposed to go, but Noella decides to stay behind
Mhm.
because she needs some time to grieve her father's passing away. Which
Yep.
she said at some point in the episode, like, "I'm here to grieve my father's death."
Yeah. I don't know if that's why she's here. I think she's here because she's getting paid to be here for the show. Like, that's what I
I think
think.
you're here because you're a castmate of the
Yeah,
show.
I think you're here to do your job. But yeah, I mean, you can use this as also a place to grieve, but I don't think that's the reason you're here.
If she was there on her own or maybe just with Shannon, I would have respected that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you knew what you were getting yourself into.
Hmm.
Stop it right now. Like,
I know.
absolutely stop it right now.
I know.
So Noella stays back. Everyone goes to archery. While Noella stays back, she FaceTimes her friend, which, like, I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm body shaming or being bitchy.
No, I know exactly what you're going to say.
How big were those women's lips?
I know. I was like, what are we doing? We've gone too far as a society, I think. We need to take it a few steps back with the injections. Like, I'm all do whatever you want to do. If you like it, you like it. But like, it doesn't look good. I'm sorry. It doesn't. And it looks uncomfortable for you. It just looks like it's uncomfortable to live.
They were
I feel the
so
same way about
big.
Melissa Gorga hot take. Sorry.
Does
Looks
she,
like it's painful. It looks like she can't even close her mouth. It just looks like she
I've
can't
never
live.
noticed, to be honest. I'll pay attention next week, but I've never noticed. This woman's, I
Yeah,
noticed.
it was a
I
lot. It was
noticed
a
via
lot. It was a lot.
FaceTime. She isn't
Yeah.
even on the camera.
Yeah,
It's just
I
like,
know.
whoa, that how do you talk? How is that comfortable?
I know.
I'm like a little bitch when I just like bite the inside of my lip and it gets all swollen.
Me too.
Actually, I have 2 very funny pictures. I don't know why this has happened, but there's one time where I bit the inside of my actually it's happened twice. So I bit the inside of my lip, and I don't know if it was because like I ate something
Mhm.
that had a bad reaction with like an open cut in my mouth. But when I say like half of my lip,
No.
I will send you the picture after.
Oh my God.
The first time I was by myself and I had to meet with parents the next, or it happened during the school day, and I
Oh
had to meet
no.
parents at night. So I'm like sitting there like sucking my lips in so you can't see how big they are. It was bad. I almost called out sick the next day, and I didn't have sick days yet because I was still new at CPS. And like thankfully, I sent a picture to my mom. My mom works for doctors. I was like, send this to anybody who will give
Yeah.
me a free medical
Please
opinion.
let someone help me.
But
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like,
I don't know if
So
you're a Keeping Up with the Kardashians watcher at
I
all.
am
I
not.
shamefully used to watch it. And there's a season where they go, I think to Thailand, maybe. They go on a
Mhm.
family trip somewhere. I think it was Thailand. And something happened to Kris Jenner's mouth. You might have seen the picture. And one of her lips is like a huge, it looks like a shelf overhanging her other lip. And
Oh,
that's
that's
just what I'm picturing
crazy.
right now.
Yeah,
I'll send you that picture.
mine was legit half of my bottom lip
Oh,
and
that's
then
horrible.
to the corner. And it happened again maybe like a year ago or so. And so like my boyfriend was here and I'm like my lip has swollen up and so when I think he like come back from work or something and he like didn't believe how bad it was when I got there and he was like, "Whoa, shit."
Just the shock.
Like I tried telling you.
Oh my God.
So like Tylenol reduced it like it took like 24 hours. But anyway, yeah, I don't know how these people do it. Like you voluntarily make your lips that big. That's crazy. Her lips were huge.
Yeah. Yeah, they were big. Those were big lips. Yep.
Um, but I guess the content from this phone call that I did want to bring up was Noella started crying when she was talking about how Heather made the like you're getting your own karma right now.
Yeah.
And I took that statement from Heather, and I'm interested to see what you think. I took that statement as like you're in the middle of like a quick and messy divorce. Like that was what I took the karma statement from. I didn't take it as like her son having autism or well, I guess
Hmm.
that's not how you say that. Her son is a person with autism, and that her dad just passed away. I didn't take it to those extremes. What did like when Heather originally said that? What did you interpret it as?
I didn't take it about her son's autism at all, but I did take it about her father dying. And I took it as your life sucks because of all the things you're going through, including your father died. Like that's how I read it. And
Yeah,
I don't remember if we talked too much at length about that statement last week or not, but I know in that moment I was like, that was disgusting.
yeah,
Like Heather's disgusting. Because I took it that way. I mean, her father just died, I think at this point, days before. And
yeah.
it keeps coming up every conversation like her father died, her father died. There's no way that Heather wasn't like, oh, I wasn't thinking about it because like it just happened.
Hmm.
So I took it to include that. I didn't take it about her son at all, but I did take it about her father.
Yeah, I didn't when Noella brought up her son on the phone call. I didn't think that that was where Heather was going with it at all. I didn't. I don't know if I'm just like giving Heather the benefit of the doubt. I think it's a very, very, very low blow to be like your dad died as bad karma. Like it's your fault because of your negative actions and the way that it's been like given to you as a punishment by the universe is your dad dying. If Heather meant it that way, that's crazy. And I have an even more so shift of opinions of her than I have like
Mhm.
from the beginning of the season to now. I did think that she meant it with the divorce thing though.
I
That's
think
at least what I thought.
she was just bundling them all up into like one statement of like
Mhm.
your life sucks and
Yeah,
like these are the reasons why your life sucks. And I think with her son's autism, that may be a conversation where they've had it off camera or they didn't
yeah.
choose to air it because I think that seems like a reach based on what we've seen on the show, but that doesn't mean that there haven't been a lot of like personal conversations about
Hmm.
parenting where that's come up and Noella struggled because that's a hard thing, especially as a single mom.
Hmm.
Now that your husband just up and left you, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was something like just generally your life sucks and you're having a hard time, and these are all the reasons why you're having a hard time, and that's just what karma dealt you. That's kind of what I took it
Yeah.
as.
And it's Noella's right to dissect it however
Yeah,
she wants to. I was just kind of like, oh, I didn't even think of Heather bringing your son into this as
yeah.
something, but I can see if you're when you're down, you're down, and so it all seems like it's bundled together. Especially, is her son two? Like he's pretty young,
I
I
don't
think,
remember,
right?
but he is young. Yeah, he's
So
young.
this is a lot to happen within a year and a half because I'm assuming that he wasn't diagnosed within the first like 6 months of his
Right,
life.
right.
So it probably is a somewhat more recent diagnosis. that within the last year, these three things have happened, or three major things have happened that
Right.
she sees as negative. But I would also hope that she doesn't see her son's autism as a negative because
No, I think it's probably, it seems like it's probably a struggle for
yeah,
her,
like
maybe. And I think
yeah,
that's probably what, yeah.
yes. So I get it. I'm just hoping that it doesn't get framed negatively.
No, I agree. I agree.
Well,
And I don't
until
think
it's
she
like,
was,
no,
I didn't take it that way. I think she was just saying like, these are all the hard things that
yeah.
that she's dealing with right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I see all that. It was just kind of shocking to me when I'm like, oh, I did not even think of
Mhm.
including this component of your life
No, neither did I.
in
Neither did
that
I.
statement, but I can understand why you would. While Noella's at home, everyone else is at archery, and basically Emily's really good at activities. That's
There's nothing I hate more than watching housewives do activities. I just hate it. Like, we
Mhm.
never need this. Does anybody like this?
No.
Does anybody like watching this? I want to know. Can we do a poll? I just like, I wish we could do a poll. I just like, who enjoys watching this? I don't understand.
The major thing I got from it is having worked at a summer camp for a decade is that you're supposed to wear a wrist guard when you do archery.
Mm.
And then I don't know if you noticed later, Emily was like, look at this
Yeah.
massive bruise I have. And I actually wrote in my notes, like, as I'm watching, you're supposed to be wearing a wrist guard. So
So the instructors did not do the right thing.
right. And I felt very justified in my notes when I saw her show the pic. I'm like,
Yeah.
I told you so.
Told you.
So, Emily. The best part that came from this whole thing, though, was Emily enlightening us on how Dr. Jen just repeats everything Heather
Yes.
says and the way that Bravo edited it together.
Give it an Emmy.
This
It
is
was beautiful.
the best part of the season was that
Yeah.
little clip right there. Nothing beats it.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it seems like Emily agrees with us about Dr. Jen, is that she's
Mhm.
just there and doesn't have an original thought. And that's what we think. That's what everybody thinks, I think.
Just
So it doesn't seem like it's any different in person. It seems like
just
they're getting the
thinking
same
right
Dr. Jen
now,
that we're getting.
which again leads me to who is doing casting this season?
Why does she have a full time? Why does she have an orange? Why?
She should have a cutie at best. Like it should be a little baby one that she shows up from time to
Yes.
time. That's it.
Yes.
Not even a clementine. One of those little ones that
Yeah.
you could eat it all in one bite. That's all I
Right.
need of her. One bite, get out.
I just can't believe that she was named full time. I mean, she's given us nothing.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the other thing is like, who were your other options that you turned down to
Right.
put her and her lack of a storyline on the show?
Right. I know, it's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
I don't get it. But she, again, I don't know if I even wrote Dr. Jen's name down except for Emily making fun of Dr. Jen. No, I didn't. That's it. That's all she provided this episode. Given it was hilarious because she was the butt of the joke, but that was good. And I really appreciated the way that went down.
Same. I also don't think that Dr. Jen said anything this whole episode. I can't remember one thing if she opened her mouth and spoke.
She did a little bit when they were like sitting along the river or whatever.
Oh, right. Right.
She basically was just asking Shannon questions, but nothing. She didn't say anything concretely.
No.
And maybe when they talked about the nicknames, Jen and Jennifer, but that's it. So nothing worthwhile. While they're at archery, we like get a cut back to Noella again at the house, where she walks down to this little creek and talks about like her father passing away, and then like the divorce process that she's going through, and how it's gonna be like the quickest divorce in the history of California, and just how that's all going down. And she basically just goes down to the river and screams.
Yeah, this made me uncomfortable. I was like, we don't need this to be included. Like, I feel bad for her. I sympathize for what she's going through. I don't need to see her. Like, it seemed like a very vulnerable moment. I don't know why we necessarily needed to see it.
I think Noella has no issue.
I'm sure she doesn't.
Being vulnerable and sees this as like, look at what good job I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree that we the audience know she's going through it right
Yeah.
now. They've done enough to let us know that. I while I don't need to see archery, I also don't need to see Noella doing this. So I don't know what I needed to see in place of.
I
However,
just need them not to the show to not be on TV. That's kind of what I need, I think. I'm just done with it. I'm over it. Over
so
it.
I wasn't really the biggest fan of that. After they go, so they split up. Emily and Gina go back to get Noella, and they're gonna go into a mine together.
Yep.
And Emily and Gina are both like, we're not being her therapist. This
Mhm.
is all she wants to talk about.
Mhm.
Did you feel that they were not being sensitive enough, or do you think that like they're justified in
No, I think
not
they're
wanting
bad
to admit
people.
it?
I think they're bad people. I mean, we could talk about it more later when we get to like the end of the episode, especially with
Mhm.
Gina, but like then don't bring her. Why are you going back to the house to get her if you don't want to listen to her talk? Just go yourselves and she'll stay behind. Like
Mhm.
just don't
Mhm.
then. You can avoid this.
Yeah, I think you're obligated to listen to her, even if you
Right.
don't want to. You're obligated to.
What are
Um,
you going to say? Shut up? Like stop. I mean, I guess they will. They have. Emily has been like
yeah, they
stop
haven't got her
talking.
divorced.
Yeah.
I think with her dad just passing, that they would have to listen to it, but you have to. Like that's it. You have to.
Yeah, and I think with Noella, it's like she's talked a lot about how she had a complicated relationship with her dad.
Mhm.
And she was hoping, I'm sure, she was hoping that things could get rectified a little bit in the future. It seemed like they had made contact. I don't exactly remember because honestly, I don't really pay that much attention to this show when it's on. But I know she was talking about how they had contact somewhat recently. And
Mhm.
I think she probably thought like maybe this is something that we can repair or work towards. And then he abruptly passed away. I mean, like that has to do a number on you. And she's probably thinking about all the regrets that she has and all the things that could have been, like it's a lot. Just because she didn't have a close relationship with him now doesn't mean that it's not going to have an impact on her that he passed away.
Yeah. No, I agree. I wonder what we don't see on camera in terms of like how much she has already talked about it,
Yeah.
and that would be like the one thing that I it wouldn't make me change my opinion. I think you still have to listen to her. However, like if that's all that she's talked about, and
Yep.
like okay, let's give it a break for 20 minutes and enjoy looking at these rocks. I
Yeah. Right.
guess. But I don't. We don't see that, and at this point we haven't really seen her talk too much about it. Like
Mhm.
she did kind of unnecessarily bring it up as a reason why she should have a nice room. Um,
Yep.
but otherwise, it hasn't been over the top, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so. And I'm curious of like I'm just curious of the timeline because like I said a couple of minutes ago, like I think
Yeah,
it was only a few days before,
right.
but we don't really understand what the timeline is here.
Nothing of interest, in my opinion, came from their time in the mine.
Oh, I loved the host or the tour
Yeah,
guide. He was my favorite part of the entire episode.
yes. He was. Someone forgot the duck when they like hit
Yeah, because
their
he was. Yeah, that was just. I loved it. I loved it.
but
He was
no,
great.
no Housewives content came out of that. That was
No, but that guy
ever
was the all-star of the episode to me.
give him his orange.
Yeah, seriously. More giving us more than Dr. Jen has the whole season.
You're not wrong. While those three are at the mine, Shannon, Heather, and Dr. Jen are on a hike, and they sit down at some point to talk. Shannon basically says she feels like Emily stirs the pot a lot. And Heather was like, shit stirrer or truth teller? Both can be. But anyway, the more importantly, what it comes down to is Shannon kind of makes the distinction for us that I think a lot of us have assumed where she wants to be friends with Emily. She sees reason to be friends with
Yeah.
Emily, and she is less entertained by a friendship with Gina. And she thinks at this point, like, ball's in Gina's court. If she
Yeah.
wants to apologize or address this or work on it, she can. But otherwise, I'm happy, like, focusing on a relationship with Emily. Whatever, Gina. See you
Mhm.
later.
Mhm. And that seemed like a genuine moment from
Yeah.
Shannon to me. Like it does seem like I mean every episode we see feels like Emily and Shannon have a decent relationship. They get along, they have fun together. And her and, Shannon and Gina just can't, they just don't click. So there comes a time as an adult where you just say, I don't really click with this person. So why am I
Mhm.
going to waste my energy? And we've seen in past episodes where Shannon has reached out. I think it was like a flashback and they were supposed to have lunch and then Gina canceled and was like, I'm not in a place where I could do this. So, it sounds like Shannon has reached out to try and fix
Mhm.
it. Gina doesn't want to be receptive to it. So Shannon's like basically like, whatever. But it's frustrating to watch Gina continuously pile on to every single thing that Shannon does because it doesn't feel like it's based in any reality. It feels like
Mhm.
it's based in like some weird like mental picture she has of Shannon. At least we haven't seen any reason why Gina feels this way towards Shannon.
Right.
It all feels like conflated in her head.
The
Maybe she should
li-
put a pin in it.
that's the only thing that like you could, I guess, make a point about would
Right.
be this comment. And I don't know. I mean, like I think of my relationship with my best friend, and like if she got $1 for every time, I was just like, you're being annoying. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
mean I think she is annoying as a
Right.
human, but sometimes there's character traits of someone that just like get amplified in situations, and to be able to be honest with them about it, I think like strengthens your relationship. Because then when I'm being a bitch, like I want you to tell me. You know
Yeah.
what
So
I mean?
you're being
Like
a bitch. Yeah.
so, I feel like they are at the they're at a point in friendship where they want to be able to tell each other those types of things and then be able to be like, okay, my bad, and brush it off.
Right.
And but neither can brush it off.
Right. Exactly. That's how I feel too. I
I
just don't think they're meant to be friends. Like they would
right.
never be friends in the real world. Um, so I just like, I don't know. It just seems weird. Like it feels like the conflict is coming out of nowhere on
Well,
Gina's
it's
end.
coming out of Emily is really where it's
Well,
coming out
yeah.
of. And
Yeah.
I think that if Emily is genuine about wanting a friendship with Shannon, which that conversation happens in a little bit, she has to be an adult and be like, okay, Shannon might say things to me about Gina that Gina doesn't need to know. Like, can
Right.
I can keep this one to myself
Right.
because, sure, like, should I tell my best friend everything? Yeah, okay, maybe, but really, like, Shannon isn't saying anything that is in a way so like defamatory that's gonna like she needs a lawsuit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a
Right.
negative. Sometimes she's being arrogant. You don't need to go run that back to her. That's Shannon's opinion. Keep that one to yourself. And if Emily is like capable of doing that, then I think her and Shannon could actually be a lot of fun if we were to get
Yeah.
more of a genuine friendship out of them. Um, but I don't think Shannon's wrong in terms of like
No.
Emily is the one that's making this. Emily is causing Gina to make this be a bigger deal than it needs to
Hmm.
be.
Yeah. Totally. Totally agree. I also,
So,
what did you think of this group sitting down by the water? Like, I feel like this season specifically, we haven't seen like a lot of like two people having lunch together and
mm-hmm,
having a bond. Like we've seen it kind of with Heather and like Gina or Heather and Dr. Jen, but
mm-hmm,
I don't feel like we've ever seen like Shannon and Heather sit down and have a coffee or anybody. We haven't seen any like relationship building with anybody, and I just feel like I don't know like where specifically with Shannon. Like I just don't know where people stand kind of with her. I don't know.
mm-hmm.
It's a little weird. Feels like it felt like a weird grouping. Like I was like, why would Shannon be with Heather and Jen? I feel like they've never spoken to each other.
Yeah, that's true. I feel
Maybe
like
it's an
they
editing
haven't.
thing. I don't know.
I feel like they referenced a like Shannon and Heather meal at some
Mhm.
point on their own, and they like did one of those like grayscale flashbacks to it
Mm.
that was like, oh, a week ago, but we didn't actually see it on the TV show. Um, yeah, but I don't think Dr. Jen really does anything
No,
to
I guess that's true.
have any connection with anyone besides Heather.
Right. Right.
Like we
Just
don't
seemed
see
weird.
her.
Seemed not organic.
Like 3 is arguably the smallest group we've ever seen her in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So again, like she's just not needed. I hope
No.
that Andy knows how much of a dud she is, and he
I
better
think he probably
be
knows.
spearheading the sorry, Dr. Jen, we're firing you.
I hope so.
Also, take this extra time to sort out your marriage and your medical license in no particular
Mm.
order.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
so, after their little rendezvous alongside a body of water, everyone's back at the house, and Noella tells Shannon about her breakdown. I don't really remember anything from it. So
Shannon was like not paying attention. She was just kind of like waiting to see what Emily was doing so she could pull her aside. She was
yeah.
just like eating and was just like, mm-hmm,
And then we get
good for
Emily
you.
and Shannon. And Shannon just says to her, like, I'm tired of the negativity. And then Emily's like, okay, but if you're tired of negativity, then like why talk shit about Gina? And Shannon clearly says, like, those are our problems.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
have,
between me and Gina.
yeah, you and I have our friendship. And then if Gina and I decide that we're able to have a friendship from here, great.
Mm-hmm.
And they both agree that they want to be friends with each other, which I think is sincere from both sides.
Yeah, me too. And I thought this was like a refreshing conversation of just two adults hashing out their issue and then moving on. Like it didn't get heated. There was no like weird like projecting of things. It was just like, listen, yeah, I have issues with Gina, but I want to be friends with you. So stop telling Gina if I'm saying stuff about her. Like that's between us. You're causing issues. And she's like, okay, I want to be friends with you too. So I'll do that. But Gina's my friend. Like that's pretty much it.
I think this is what Shannon wants with Gina
Yeah, but Gina's
and can't have
incapable
it.
of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gina's incapable.
And then they let us in that tonight's bear night.
I like don't even want to talk about this because I just hate this. This is like they try and make this show so goofy and it's like not a goofy show. These are the most boring women on the planet. This is dumb. I hate this. And it was like they didn't even I hated this. I hated this.
As someone who loves a good prank, I just felt like it was very poorly executed.
Extremely poorly executed. And Shannon had her heels on.
Yeah. Well, Emily's like wasn't able to close around her. So
Right.
there
So
was
you had like a
also
Louis
like
Vuitton shirt sticking out in the back. And then Shannon had her huge heels on.
but she did have the sound maker in her bra.
She did. She did.
We cut to Noella in her hot tub jacuzzi that she was able
Mhm.
to finagle, and she's on the phone again. And my question, I don't even remember who she was talking to, is
I think her
did you
mom.
see that wrist strap that she had for her phone?
Yes. I noticed
What
it
the
in bed
fuck
in her
is
bed
that?
too. It's like a purse strap, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of wild. And like in a hot tub, is it not getting wet? Like
I
I
have
don't
no
understand the
idea. But
logistics
that's just,
behind that.
there is no practicality to that thing in the
No.
slightest.
I guess if she's like wearing it as a purse, I don't
You
know if
take
like
it
the
off
phone.
when you're.
Yeah, take it off. You don't need it. You don't need it.
I was so mad at seeing that. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you
Yeah.
using this? Like, please stop it right now. We get Gina, Emily, and Heather in a bed, and they're talking about how they're gonna have fun, they're gonna walk away from any issues, and Gina goes off about Shannon a little bit, saying that it triggers her that Shannon doesn't take any accountability for her involvement in my feelings towards this relationship.
Okay, Gina. I just like I don't know. Shannon has. I feel like Shannon has, and Gina just keeps like piling onto. She's. I don't know that Shannon. I don't know what she means in terms of taking accountability. Like it feels like Shannon is just like, yeah, I'm talking about your ego because you say things that are kind of like out of line. I'm not jealous of you. I'm not jealous of your situation with Heather. I am happy for your skincare line. Like what else? What else can she say? Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just there
let it
Gina
go.
has
Let it
to
go,
take some
Gina.
accountability of the fact that okay, Shannon says some things that's bothered her. She can't unsay those things.
Yeah,
So
maybe it's on you, Gina, to be able to move on. Maybe it's on you.
exactly, I'm with you on that. I really think at this point, like Shannon's tried her best.
Right. And she's tried to kind of squash it, and Gina just doesn't want to. She wants to keep it going. Part of me is like, does she want this for the storyline? Because otherwise, she'd have nothing else.
Oh yeah, that's true. There's no storylines like period. This
Right.
is
We have no
Bailey's
storyline. We
story,
have no
and it's
storyline.
an issue that's just being carried on for way too long. The night or the episode ends with the night event at the house. They get like a bluegrass band. Like I think were they bluegrass? Were they
Yeah.
like Colorado banjos? I don't know, but
I think
um,
bluegrass. Yeah.
while the concert's happening, Emily and Shannon sneak away. They put in their bear costumes. They
Mhm.
like try to sneak back out. As we mentioned, it was a complete and utter failure.
Yeah, it was a bust.
But what do you do if you're like the band at that point?
I don't know. I was like, these poor people. These
Yeah,
poor people. Like,
I
they're
hope
not
they're
paying
getting
attention at all.
paid well. That's all I
Me
really
too. Just
care
so
for.
awkward. And like, who did they want this? Do they like bluegrass music? Like, why
No,
do they have this?
I have no idea. Like I don't. Emily, I guess, is the organizer of this. I wonder how much she actually organizes and what
I
Bravo
don't
says this is
know.
what you're doing.
I don't know.
Then they have dinner, and Gina gets mad at Noella that Noella doesn't know who Tatiana, aka Tot, is.
Yeah.
And so, from what we understand, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, Noella went to Tatiana's house for some event. Tatiana was very sympathetic towards Noella based off of, I think it was only the divorce at that point that she was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And um like they've seen and met each other multiple times and have spent some time together. So when Gina says, "Oh, Tatiana's kids are models or whatever," and Noella's like, "Oh, who?" Gina gets mad that she doesn't know who this is.
Yeah.
My opinion was that I agree that Noelle probably should have known who Tatiana is. However, I agree with Noella that like Gina's just looking for shit to get mad about.
It seemed like it seemed like Noella was like, oh, my first job was a Will Smith music video. And
Yeah.
then out of nowhere, she's like, Tatiana's kids are models. And she's like, who's Tatiana? Because, like, what are you talking about? I'm talking,
Yeah.
like, it came out of nowhere. And then she's like, who? And she's like, Tatiana, my friend. And then she was like, oh. And then she's like, it's been a long couple of days. Like, it was a momentary lapse.
Yeah.
The reference came out of nowhere, in my opinion. It's just like she brought up her friend out of thin air. Maybe there was context there, but it didn't seem like there was. So she was just like, who? Who's Tatiana? Who's Tatiana in this world, as Yolanda Hadid would say. And it's like, I don't know. It was just weird. It just seemed like a weird thing. And then it just went off the rails. Just totally off the rails.
And Gina, well, Noella brings up earlier, she's like, what I've learned about Gina is when she drinks, you just have to avoid her. Like,
Yeah.
get out the way.
Which seems to be fair based on the way that Gina was acting at the end of the episode.
Yeah, it definitely provided some foreshadowing for
Yeah.
sure. That Gina seems hammered throughout this whole process.
Hammered.
And I don't know, have we seen Gina like in that state that you can think of? I do wonder how much like the altitude is getting
I think
to
the
them. 'Cause
altitude doesn't help.
even Heather, like we never see Heather messy. Heather holds herself together.
Yeah. Well,
and
except last episode.
exactly. And that
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
like that's what I'm saying is I do wonder if like they just were not ready for the effect that it was going to have on them. But Gina's just drunk and like being stupid and annoying.
Yes.
And what annoyed me is that like Shannon is trying to put Noella to bed to kind of like separate the two.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I think it should have been Emily trying to put Gina to bed.
Yes.
Wait, yes, okay, I said those right.
Yes.
Because Gina is the source of all the bullshit. Like, why does Gina get to go around and then yell to everyone who has two ears about how Noella doesn't care about her at all and we should know about the people who are like in each other's lives, blah, blah, blah. Someone needs to be like, Gina, go the fuck to sleep. Like, Noella hasn't done anything wrong for the first time.
Right. For the first time. Really. I mean, this is the first time where you really can't say like, well, I can see where this person's coming from. No, this is unhinged behavior. And then they're sitting on the couch and she's like, I know who Keeney is. And Emily's like, who?
Yeah.
And then she's saying her name wrong. And it's like, you're doing the same thing that this is like wild. It's just wild. And then she's like, I've met her multiple times. It's like, yeah, but you don't know her name. You don't even know her name.
Yeah, you aren't pronouncing her name right. But that's where the episode ends. It's just
I just feel like it's so gross, like that they want everybody to just pile onto Noella. Everything that she does, she can't have one ally. Shannon can't be a nice person and just say like, listen, you're going through a lot. Just go to bed. Like, just leave it. Go to bed. And she does. She leaves. She doesn't provoke the situation. She didn't do anything wrong. She excused herself. And And Gina's just going off like a maniac upstairs, screaming about it, talking about how she doesn't care. Shit happens. It doesn't make you about her dad dying.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. I'm sorry, that's fucked up. Gina is it's so like ugh to me.
I hope that she was able to see this episode before the reunion because
I hope so too.
I would like to see the conversation that happens as a result of seeing this episode sober.
Yeah, like it's just gross behavior and it's embarrassing. And Shannon is the only rational person in the room at this point.
Mhm.
Even Heather is like leaning over and she's like, Shannon Medora's coming. It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
Shannon Medora's here. Wow, yeah, she's in the house. She's coming in the room. Like, why do you need to be whispering about it? What's going
Mhm.
on? Like, it just all feels ugh, to me.
Well, the good news is we only have to do 43 more minutes before
Thank
a
God.
reunion.
Thank God. And the next episode looks like it's going to be really bad. Like, I don't need to see these women dressed up in 80s clothes for any
Yeah.
reason whatsoever.
I
As a
wonder what that
band,
event
the
is
OC
even gonna be.
Reels, what are we doing? What are
I
we
don't know.
doing?
Don't
Seems
make
like a
me
Shannon
think about
Bedore
it
event to me.
before I need to.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
you're right. It probably is a Shannon event.
Seems very Shannon.
One more week. We're probably
And then we
getting
get a
close to the end of
reunion.
New Jersey, though, too, because this was
I think
episode
so.
10 of New Jersey,
Hmm. I
which
think
has
we'll get a
gone by.
couple of episodes in Nashville and then reunion probably.
Yeah, this has gone by so much faster than
Hmm. I know, it's sad how
Orange
fast it's going.
County and even Salt Lake City. Well, Salt Lake City was on forever.
Yeah.
I know I had messaged you this, but I had started my new job, and on
Hmm.
my first day, I forget how it came up, but Real Housewives came up with my manager, and we both watched. And I was like, "Dude, I
I love
actually
that for
podcast
you.
about this." And his defense, he was like, "But what about Salt Lake City?" I'm like, "It was way too long." And he's like, "It doesn't matter. It should be on year round." I'm like, "No, we
No, it
can't.
shouldn't. We need
We
a break. We
can't."
need a break.
We saw eye to eye on Jen Shaw, and that's really all we got because I had a lot to learn on my first day.
Yeah.
But he's very excited to have someone to talk about Real Housewives with.
I love
So
that.
I felt safe in the fact that I bonded with him over.
Yes, that's amazing.
However, we did have very different opinions on the length of this past season and the quality of it. He thought the whole season was great, and I was like, nope, the horse meme, the nicely drawn horse.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Mm-hmm. 1000%.
Yeah. Well, we've got New Jersey next.
Yes.
And I thought we were like gearing up for a better episode this week based off of last week's episode.
I think it's coming next week.
They keep teasing. One of my biggest pet peeves with Bravo is when they're like, oh, this like major event that you know you're going to want to watch, and they tease it like 3 months out and making it seem like it's the next week's episode every time.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be at the very end of the episode next week in the last like 3 minutes. We're going to see the same scene we've seen in the trailer 100 times and in the preview, and then it's going to be a to be continued.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen next week.
Bravo.
I know. I hate these to be continued. At least give us like the episode preview for next week. We don't need every week does not need to be a to be continued. We just don't need it.
We know it's coming anyway.
Yes, we know. We've seen it in the trailer. It doesn't need we don't need this.
Yeah, this isn't really a cliffhanger as much as it is. This is where our episode ends, and then we have to wait 7 days for the next one.
Yeah.
Well, it was Margaret's mom's birthday party. It was like the central part of this episode. And I did appreciate hearing her immigration story and
that was nice.
Margaret's appreciation for everything their mom did, which we got more in like the speech later on. But I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. What I thought was kind of funny though about it was that they put all this like black and white like war footage. And I'm like, do we need this? Who's editing this show? This fake stock footage of like black and white war in Hungary? Like it's like it was kind of weird to me. It was a weird choice.
That didn't even like cross my mind.
I was like, what are we doing? Same thing. They did the same thing in New Jersey earlier in the season with the video. And they put like stock footage of like a beach and like I don't know. It was very weird. It was very weird what the editing choices this season.
Again, I don't remember either of these things. So
those hit me. I was like, what?
I'm still at trying to like remember who everyone is while I'm watching and like realize who everyone is. I think part of the reason that it's taking longer for me to like feel connected to it is that every other franchise I've binged.
Yes.
So I'll get like 2 to 4 straight hours in my first watch of these women.
Yeah, and you're
then
getting
it's
these in
like,
little bites.
yeah, where I'm getting like 43 minutes a week for the
Mhm.
first or for the last couple months or whatever, that it's like, okay, who's this again? What I
Right.
need that like overwhelming
Mhm.
consumption of it at first to really dive into it versus this. So I think that's why I'm having a hard time remembering from week to week. Just like, wait, who is husband? Which one? Why are they? But
Yeah.
I'll get there, I swear. We kind of just get like a bunch of different things leading up to the party in terms of like little snippets of stuff going on. We have Teresa cleaning out her house because they're moving.
Yeah.
And we have like 2 different segments of that because
Mhm.
Teresa is invited to Margaret's mom's party. So
Yep.
we get an extra Teresa segment to compensate for not having Teresa there.
Which we need. Teresa should be required at every single event.
Well, more importantly, we got to see some Gia. So I was happy
We did.
that
We did get
my
Gia.
girl was in this episode.
I was scrolling through Instagram yesterday, or maybe even this morning, and I saw something, some like gossip, some maybe page 6 or something that posted something about. And this is all me saying just like something that happened and something on Instagram, something posted. But there was just a segment about like Gia and Joe Gorga. Maybe something happened at the reunion. I don't really know. But the comments, I just like looked to see what the comments were saying. And every single comment was like, Gia's rude. Get Gia off TV. I hate Gia. And I'm like, these people really hate Gia. Like the people hate Gia. I don't understand.
She's literally the most likable person on this show.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Hands down, the most likable person.
Yeah.
We know that I'm drawn to the
Dolores is
level
pretty
headed.
likable.
Who is?
Dolores.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like she's had her shit. I just feel
She
like how do
has.
you not
She
have
has.
like Dolores has been an adult the whole time who should know better and
Mhm.
does know better versus like look at how level headed Gia is for what she's gone through. Like, is she a
Exactly.
childhood star? No, but she's had to grow up on TV, which brings its own
Through
set of
traumatic shit.
yeah. And you're telling me she's rude? She hasn't been rude at all. You guys
No.
are dumb. I want to
Mhm.
meet your kids. People who are commenting
I
on this,
know.
let me pick apart your kids. I gladly will.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we have or Teresa donated like a shit ton of clothes for Dolores
Mhm.
and that.
Mhm.
And they talk about how she ends up being invited to Margaret's party.
Mhm.
Is there anything else to talk about with that section?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
I
cool.
think at that point they talked a little bit about Teresa's parents. That might have been towards the end, but I know you don't have the history, but like just seeing Teresa's dad with the squid, that was like a
Oh, that
big.
was in like the second segment of it. I was
That
gonna
was
go
second.
back
Okay.
to that, I
Okay.
think. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
those
like
two
put
segments
anything about
blended together.
her parents in there, but yeah, they were kind of like reminiscing the different stuff.
Yeah.
That was cute. That was
Yeah.
cute. The next segment we get is Joe and Melissa. This was a very Melissa heavy episode, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you loved
That's
it.
why I was really crammed by just fast forwarding through all of those scenes.
And Tracy and Tiki show up, so they like recap the previous day's softball game, and Tiki was
Yeah.
like, I can't not be competitive and whatever. But then they kind of split, and you have the men talking and the women talking. And Tracy's got her kid in a kindergarten tutor
Mhm.
because of struggling with her socialization.
Mhm.
I low key want to see if more comes from this because I don't want to like jump to any like, hi, I have a special education endorsement
Yeah.
and have had to take many childhood development classes in order to become an educator. So I don't have enough information, but the teacher side of me has now a distinct interest in whatever happens in this child's life.
Mhm. I'm sorry to say I don't think we're gonna get any more probably from this.
But
I think that was like a feed into Melissa making it her better self.
but she does that tremendously.
Mhm.
I actually wrote this like so. Then Melissa starts talking about how what's her daughter's name? He isn't. Does he begin with an
Yes.
A? If people
All
aren't
I want to
watching
say is
this,
Adriana, but it's not. That's Teresa's daughter.
I
What
thought
is
it's
her
like
name?
Aliana or something like that.
No. Oh my God.
If you weren't watching this on video, I had a moment where I thought my internet like froze again
Because I'm frozen,
no, well, because
thinking
yeah,
deep in
your
thought.
eyes just like closed, and
What
I
is
didn't
her
know like is she
name?
stuck in a long blink that it's frozen on
No,
me?
it's bothering me that I don't know her
Do
name.
you want me
I'm
to
gonna
look it
look it
up?
up. I'll look it up.
Okay, it begins with an A, I think.
It definitely begins with an A. It's really bothering me. Antonia. Oh, I can't believe I forgot Antonia. I was thinking Adriana because of Teresa's daughter, Adriana. Antonia. These
So
names, I can't. So New Jersey, these names.
Antonia. If my mom named me Antonia, we would have gotten a fist fight by the time I
What
was
do
old
you even
enough.
call yourself? Do you go by Tony as a girl? Because that's
Probably,
cute, but like,
yeah.
what? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, nah, it's gotta be Tony, I think.
Right?
So we've got Melissa telling how like, oh, Antonia tore her ACL and she like has gone to this bit of depression that she doesn't want to cheer anymore. But when I was growing up, when I was that age, like I had to move to Florida and my dad did this and my mom did that. And I always thought it was generational. But maybe it's just like heavy Italian way of like no matter what hardships you're having, the generation before you had it 30 times harder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I know like with my dad, it's just like if anything's ever wrong with me, he's like, oh yeah, well, I
Yeah.
had blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, we get it. Like nothing can ever be wrong with me. But I'm just like so pissed off that if I was Antonia, if I'm watching this episode back and it's like, can't I just be upset about something?
Right.
Like, fuck.
No, I agree. And this is like what I think the general feeling of like distaste for Melissa is that like this is Melissa every single season.
Mhm.
She has fake storylines every single season. This is not a storyline. She is just like clinging onto something that she could talk about all season to somehow make herself relevant. This year it's her daughter. Last year, I don't even remember what it was last year. The year before that, it was like a fake baby that her and Joe were going to have. They were thinking about getting pregnant again. No, everybody knew. And that's why Jennifer was like, you're not having a baby. You're too self absorbed. And then that was like the biggest thing. But Jennifer's speaking the truth. Melissa Gorga was never going to have a baby. She had like a fake sister that a psychic told her about. And then her whole season was talking about how I want to find my sister that the psychic told me about. There's no sister. No, she never found a sister. It was a fake story. Like this is what everybody is saying. This is the biggest criticism of her is that these storylines are just like not genuine. They're just fluff. And she uses Teresa to be relevant because she has nothing else going on in her life.
Yeah.
And this is like exactly another example. So Jen making that whole Instagram thing of like, you have fake storylines and your family's crooked. Let me ask a question. Why are we not focusing on why they're renting a house and moving? They didn't move probably because they wanted to. If this was anybody else, they would be like digging in like, oh, why'd they have to sell their house? And why are they renting now? And why is it taking them so long to build their other house? But for some reason, Melissa and Joe get off scot-free. I don't understand it. No one ever digs into their dirt. But they're crooked. They are crooked, allegedly.
For legal purposes, allegedly.
Yeah, exactly.
I have such a distaste for how she's handling it. It just completely negates anything that her daughter might be going through. Because, like, in addition, they did move her daughter during high school. I think their daughter has a very valid point of like,
Yeah.
if you don't have to move me, then why did you? Why?
I think that's the thing is like there is a reason that they moved that they're not saying, and I want to know what the reason is. I want to know the reason. What's the reason? I want to know. Expose it. We need Jen to expose it.
Jen, come on, stop being nice to these people. You've had a few episodes. We need you back.
I'm looking up why did the Gorgas move?
While you're doing that, the way the show was presented this episode was like, okay, we got Melissa, and then we've got Jackie. Then we got Melissa, then we got Jackie. I think we should just like hash out the Melissa stuff and then talk about the Jackie stuff.
Okay.
Because I just want to be done with Melissa, and I think that the Jackie stuff is like far more worthwhile. No offense to Antonia. I feel like Antonia is getting like the short end of the stick here. And I don't mean for that. I want Antonia to be able to be sad with no repercussions no guilt about her her mom being sad, or her mom's sadness from whoever earlier in her life.
Agreed.
But they show them at physical therapy, and we get like a completely different like response from Antonia than Melissa has been saying at all this season. Do we have a cat appearance?
We do. Sorry.
It was either that or Matt was crawling in on the floor. So.
No, we do. We do.
What is your cat's name?
I have two, Seymour and Philip.
Hello, Seymour and Philip. Which one's there?
Seymour is here right now. He's whining. I don't know why. That's why I'm looking, but he's good. He's just going into the litter box.
Gotcha. Well, hello, Seymour. Enjoy your poop. So, all the answers that Antonia gives her personal trainer, physical therapist person are the exact opposite of everything that Melissa's been telling us.
Yeah, because Melissa's full of shit. Melissa's full of shit.
So are you looking to cheer again? Yes. What's your favorite part of cheering? The tumbling, which is going to be far more impactful on a knee than the actual cheering component of it is.
Yeah.
And she's like dying to get back to tumbling or whatever. Where everything we've seen, it seems like Melissa's almost been encouraging her to be like, no, I don't want to do this. Oh my God.
Yeah, because she needs something to talk about. This has been like 3 or 4 episodes in a row where she's like, I'm worried about Antonia. She's depressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. Is she though?
I mean, she looked like she was very much improving in her physical stamina for her knee, and she seemed excited about getting to do the things that she had done pre-surgery.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of confused by why Melissa said these things, except, well, that's ignoring the fact that she just apparently lies about everything.
I think she just puts on a facade of like, this is what I'm dealing with now, but like none of it's ever rooted in reality.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Antonia. I hope your knee gets better. I hope you are. And then Antonia's like, you're making it seem like I'm depressed.
Right.
And Melissa's like, well, that's because I was depressed when I had this.
Right.
Live your life, Antonia.
I know. Go away to college, Antonia. Go far away. Go to like California. Get away from your mom for a little bit. It'll do you good. And your dad, your chauvinist dad.
What colleges would you, Rutgers, I guess. Is Seton Hall in New Jersey?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. Next part, we have Jackie. They showed Jackie going to get ice cream with her kids, which was her homework assignment from her therapist. And I just found this like whole thing so interesting.
Yeah.
So she ordered a small cake batter ice cream. She admits she ate like just under half of it, but she like tried the other kids' ice cream. They were trying hers, and not the other kids, like she's a kid, but her kids' ice cream. But she did eat it, and she seemed to, at least in the moment, being able, or like enjoyed being able to have that experience. And it's wild to me, and I'm sure it's wild to a lot of us who like don't have to experience the effects of an eating disorder, of just like, wow, her children, her oldest kid's in middle school, so like 12, 13-ish, right? And this is the first time ever with her kids that she's doing something like this. Yeah. And just like seeing it in the moment for the first time, I just felt like, wow, I don't even know if I should be watching this. I feel like it should be like for you and your kids, but I kind of felt like I appreciate that I was able to, and also to then see her therapy session after.
Yeah, I think it's really great that Jackie, even though she's not my favorite, I'll say, I think it's great that she's putting this out there, and hopefully she's helping a lot of people. And I hope that just her being so open, and even like showing her therapy sessions and like how she's negotiating with herself of like, well, I don't want to do too much, so I'll have like an extra croissant at breakfast, but I still want to count, like, how do I count this? And the therapist is like, you don't. It's something that probably goes through a lot of people's heads. And then, even later, I'm jumping way ahead, but at the end of the episode at Margaret's mom's party, she's watching Jennifer eat. And the editing of this was just so funny because Jen is like, it's delicious. And she's eating. It just seemed so funny. But she's like, Jennifer is just so carefree. I want to be that way. But Jennifer has also had multiple surgeries to be thin. So I think Jennifer probably also has her own
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem issues about eating. Like I think it manifests differently in a lot of people. But yeah, I think to Jackie's point, it's a lot of things that these are things that a lot of people don't think about in the same way as she does.
When she goes, I know that normal people will like skip something so that they can have the ice cream, and the
Yeah.
therapist is like, no, they don't.
Right.
They
Normal
just
people don't
eat
do
the
that.
ice
Yeah.
cream. And Jackie was like, what? That was
Mhm.
that moment, especially for me, was just like, there's other people who need to see this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad that, and I'm sure within like the demographic of Bravo viewers, that there are plenty of people who need to see that conversation. And I just, I appreciate it because I also think that for however many housewives we've seen and for how few of them we've like heard them openly talk about eating disorders or just like body dysmorphia or like things that go along all in that kind of bundle of area of insecurity and
Mhm.
the effects or diseases, all of it that happen. um I feel like there's probably 40 more that have come
Oh
through the
yeah.
Bravo fan that have issues with it, whatever, that haven't said anything. And so for her to not only open up the experiences with her therapist, and we see her struggles of accepting, like when the therapist like, okay, next try pizza, and Jackie was like, nope, I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how she's involving her kids without involving her kids and the whole thing, and then the transparency of the conversations with her and her husband, just all of that, like, I really appreciate that we're getting to see it. I think that this is housewives stuff that, like, yeah, housewives, you think like glitz, glamour, over the top, like labels and brand names and all this shit. But then you have this like darker side.
Yeah.
So I like that we're getting to see all of this.
I like it too, and I think, I feel bad for Jackie. I feel bad for anybody who's suffering in silence. And I feels like Jackie has been doing that for a long time. And it seems like we're getting maybe a little bit more of it coming up on Beverly Hills. We see Crystal in the preview for the
Mm-hmm.
season, kind of talking about some of the same things. So I'm glad Bravo's talking about it and letting the women share their stories, because I think we talked a little bit about this last week that Jules, the one hit wonder of New York, had an eating disorder, and she kind of bullied on the season by Beverly, oh my god, by Bethany and Carol, and Bravo really didn't handle that well. So we'll see how it comes. I'm just happy for them, and I hope that they're all not happy for them, but I'm happy for them that they're addressing it and that they're
Yeah,
getting help and doing what they need to do,
it seems
and that
like
they're
it's
publicly
moving.
sharing it. I think they're going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, it seems like it's moving in a positive way, and that we're getting to see the positive
Exactly.
and not someone's downfall.
Exactly.
We After Jackie's therapy session, we get like different snippets of people getting ready for Margaret's mother's party, and one of those snippets is Jackie talking to her husband about the food that's going to be there.
Mhm.
And again, like, it's that's one of those things that, imagine one of your major concerns before going to a big event is like needing to sit down with your partner and be like, I need you to help me like have a strategy to eat
Yeah.
tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, it'd be like, hey, if I'm over at the snack table for more than 15 minutes, please come get me,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's my favorite part of going something. You know what I mean? But the fact that that's part of your pre-game routine at this
Yeah.
point, like, you have to do your hair, your makeup, pick out your outfit, make sure the kids are set up for the night, all this shit. And then in addition, I need to set aside 10 to 15 minutes to talk to my husband to be like,
Mhm.
make sure I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that,
But
like, we don't have to think about.
yeah, and I again appreciate that like it's being shown, um in
Also,
hopes
who knew
of
Evan was such a Hungarian food enthusiast? He was like, I love Hungarian food. I was like, you do? No shade. I've never had it. That's the only reason why I'm like, is
Hmm.
there a big like Hungarian population in New Jersey? I live in a very diverse area in Queens with food from everywhere, everywhere.
Hmm.
I don't know that there we have a Hungarian restaurant. I'm sure we do somewhere, but like everyone's like, yes, I love it. I don't know. It just seemed like I was surprised by that.
You're gonna have to go find a Hungarian
I know. I'm
restaurant.
gonna have to look it up and see if we have one.
Let me know how it is.
I
I'm
will.
sure I would like Hungarian food. I went
I'm sure
to.
I'd like it.
It's probably all similar to like. I'm sure that like Ukrainian food, Polish food,
Mhm.
Hungarian food, they have a lot
Yeah,
of
similar.
similar things. And I like Polish, and I just had Ukrainian food for the first time
Ooh.
a couple weeks ago, which again was like basically the same thing as Polish food. So,
Mm,
but yeah, when you try that, let me know.
I will.
I already have a couple of I think you'll appreciate this. Um, I had a group of friends come out here a couple weekends ago, and I did a lot of like organizing and transporting to and from the airport and all this stuff. And I also had like my finals for my doctorate class. So like I wasn't there as much as I wanted to be, but I gave them as much as I could. And I was trying to like, you're in my city, so like let me help you, that type of thing. Like I'm not
Mhm.
the guest here. And they recognized that. And one of the things I'd said that weekend was like, I really want to try Nobu just because of all the
Oh, yes,
different
yes.
reality
Did you
TV.
go?
Well, they got me $150 gift card as like a
Oh, that's
thank
so
you.
sweet.
So this week, our like fancy meal, not that we do a fancy meal every week, I do not want it to seem like that, but Lavelle got invited to like a Patron dinner
Ooh,
event thing, so we're going to that.
fancy.
So I'm hoping next week we use our Nobu gift card.
Yeah. Let me
But
know how much sushi that buys you, and then we could just multiply it by whatever it takes to get to $36,000 worth of sushi.
uh, uh okay, you're right, because it is. I, I'm gonna go approximately like 1/10,000th
Yeah,
of
probably.
of her overall budget for sushi.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, I'm getting to try Nobu soon, but
Nice.
so maybe Hungarian can be after that, but it's a few weeks
Yeah.
out. So if you get some Hungarian food before I do, let me know.
Okay, I will.
Other things we see before the party, we see Jen and Bill talking about being with the guys for the first time since boys' night. Um,
What I
and
loved about this scene is that, like, Bill was like, "Oh, yeah," or Evan, I think, said, "Oh, I apologize to Bill," and Bill wrote back and said, "We're good." But all he said, "Hey, man, you good?" or something like that, and then Bill just wrote back with a thumbs up
yeah,
emoji.
it
Oh, no, the
was
okay
the
emoji, yeah.
okay
And I'm like,
emoji.
this is not the way that you are portraying this conversation at all.
Literally, the only other thing I have written under the like getting ready for the party segment of my notes is Evan and Bill's text LOL with like 5 L's.
Like, Evan was like, "Oh, no," he wrote back like, "Yeah, we're good." And I'm
We're
like,
good.
"No, he didn't." He wrote you back with as Heather Gay would say, like, a thumbs up is a fuck you,
Yeah.
on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So, like, what does the okay emoji mean?
I don't know, but it was funny that they showed the text.
Yeah, I was like, that's not the same. It's not
And
the
that was
same.
from Bill's phone too, because of the way
Yeah,
that
I
the
guess Bill
bubbles
shared
were. So I'm
Bill shared
sure
the text.
they were like maybe in a confessional or something, like, hey, Evan said that
Yeah.
he like
And
you
he's probably
guys
like,
settled
"No?"
things and that you texted and was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
look at
So
this.
funny.
before before we get to the actual party though, we go back to Teresa's house, and we had kind of referenced this earlier, how you're kind of getting like do you remember how in the earlier Survivor seasons when they would do like that memory walk with
Yeah,
all
the
the
thing I used to
corpses
fast
and
forward through,
yeah,
yeah.
same. I fucking hate that shit.
Me too.
um it was like that of this house, and like,
Mhm.
oh, we did the prom pictures here, and was it like her grandfather cooking squid in the
Yeah.
kitchen
Rest in
there,
peace,
and
Nono. We love Nono.
so that's, I'm assuming that's someone I'll meet in a previous season.
Yes, in many, in many.
And when one of them was like, was it their grandma that would like pull on their hair to get
Yeah.
them out of the kitchen, like you're in the way.
Mhm.
that that resonated a bit. um yeah, I'm sure it's not easy cleaning out the house, and especially when so many of their memories are documented.
Well, that's the thing. Like the first season of Real Housewives of New Jersey is when they were moving into that house.
Hmm.
So like their whole tenure in that house is on the show, which I
Yeah.
guess is kind of nice in a way. Like you can always look back and you'll have some of these memories in the house if you want to remember them, but a lot of them are probably really bittersweet
Hmm.
with Joe and the grandparents. It's just really they've been through a lot in this home. And it's like the end of an era, this
Yeah.
house.
Is there something in particular that they brought up that you were like, oh yeah, that's definitely one of the defining things that happened in this house? Or was there something that wasn't shown that you wish that they did that happened within the Judice household?
Oh my God, so much has happened in this house. But I think them showing Joe talking on the banister when the
Hmm.
legal stuff started, that hit me. That made me really sad because I was just like, Joe's not a great person. Um, but I do think he loves his family. He loves his daughters. I think, he treated Teresa like total garbage. But it just made me sad to see like his whole family there. It was just that was a little emotional because like we know kind of like what came from that moment and he's not here anymore and it just made me a little sad thinking about that because at that time none of us knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And now look at where we are today. She's with Louis, they're moving out of the house, he's deported and lives in Italy. It's just sad. I mean, he was in ICE detention for a long time. He was in jail for 3 years. It's sad.
What's funny is like having not seen any of these previous seasons was the scene that they showed that was like, oh wow, this seems like it was impactful.
Yes,
Um,
it
so
was.
you bringing that up is like, okay, I'm reading this the right way. He
Yeah,
just had
you
a very
were.
like Godfather um, type of presence being up on that banister and like
Mhm.
the toast slash cheers that he gave.
Yeah.
Um, so like, oh shit, this guy. I didn't. I mean, I'm sure I'll come to see this once I watch the seasons, but just from that clip alone, I didn't realize until then that he maybe had like a bigger presence than I've even come to know
Oh yeah.
through these flashbacks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was a big presence on the show, for sure. Huge presence on the show. And a big like just presence as a person in general. So you'll get to know him pretty well and you'll have an opinion, I'm sure, because everybody does. I mean, I do
Mhm.
too. But that and I think the family portrait that I with just the amount of turmoil that this family has gone through, we flash back. I don't know if you caught it, but when they're walking into the Hungarian party, I don't know if it was like
Oh,
a Hungarian place to a christening. And
yes.
that was the first scene, first episode that Joe and Melissa were on the show.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like how we got introduced to Joe Gorga and Teresa's relationship. And
Okay.
it's just been turmoil ever since. Um, and that had to do with their parents and Joe Judah. It's like, and then just from there, it's just been like family drama forever.
Hmm.
But it's been a lot, and that portrait I think was kind of like a moment too for them all to be able to sit together and take the picture together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's a lot of history.
Yeah, when they were walking in, they're like, "Oh, this is the place where of the christening," and then I think Melissa was like, "Yeah, it wasn't a good night," or Joe said like, "Yeah, it wasn't something along those lines." Like they
Mhm.
implied, and then they showed a scene which seemed like a full on melee was
Oh yeah,
happening.
oh yeah.
Anything else we need to talk about in terms of Teresa? Because this is really all we're getting of her this episode, a Teresa light episode, if you will.
No, I just hope she's smart and takes care of herself and her daughters. I'm worried about her buying this house with Louis and being so financially intertwined with him after only being together with him for a year. It's very
Hmm.
soon. Just be careful, Teresa, is all I have to say. I don't know. I have less of like a harsh opinion on Louis than I think like the general internet does,
Hmm.
but I don't have a great opinion. Like I don't think he's great. So
Yeah.
I'm nervous for her. I just hope she's doing the right thing.
Before we get into Margaret's mother's party, I have to say something. My dog is sleeping in a very cute way right now. You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
sometimes when you catch your
Uh-huh.
animal sleeping, and it's like, wow,
It's like the
you're
cutest thing in the world.
so
Yeah.
fucking cute right now. He isn't always a cute sleeper. Sometimes his eyes are weird or whatever, but he is like. I wonder if I can lift up my thing so you can. Oh, you need his face. You just the way he just
Oh, what a
tapped out
cutie.
and his face right now, man. Okay. Anyway, Love you, buddy. Oh, he's having little dreams. His paws are moving.
Aw.
So the last part of the episode is Margaret's mother's party, and a big focal point at the beginning is the men standing together and talking about, well, has anybody like seen Bill or talked to Bill? And Joe specifically was just like, I'm still not okay with him. We haven't really talked, and he owes me an apology or whatever. And is it Dennis? That's Dolores's
Frank.
Where the fuck did I get Dennis from? Is there a Dennis? Oh, you know who
There's
Dennis
a
is?
Dennis.
It's Portia's fucking.
Yes, that's what I was like. There's a Dennis. There's a Dennis. Let me go through the Rolodex in my head, but there is a Dennis.
I'm like, I know I've seen a Dennis recently. Yeah, that's Portia. Wrong series. So what? Frank, they cut to his confessional, being like, Joe thinks that Bill should apologize, and I don't think that Bill should apologize.
Thank you, Frank, for being
Yeah.
the only rational man in this group. We love to see it from Frank.
Evan would like a word. He did send an apology text, and Bill did respond.
Hey, man,
So,
we good? Okay.
And we like cut to a commercial where it's like, his name is Joe, also correct, Margaret's husband, because
Yes.
everybody's a Joe. Margaret's
Mhm.
Joe being like, no arguments tonight. Like, we are not starting any arguments with Bill.
Right.
Which good for him, because I think having the foresight of, if you fuck up my wife's event, like that's going to be even more of an issue and a much worse issue than the current issue that any of you have with Bill or Jen. So no fucking arguments tonight.
Yep.
I did appreciate that. I liked how he like said it without saying it.
Yeah. Me too. I like Joe generally.
I feel like I haven't seen much of him except for last week when I had to guess who he was, and he was the only husband I couldn't know.
Yeah, this has been a light Joe season, but he's pretty good.
And after, like, Bill walks up and they like hash it out, and the boys are good. The boys are back in town.
Yeah, I thought this was a good couple of moments from Bill. Like, I don't feel like he apologized necessarily. I feel like he took a little bit of accountability, but also was like, well, this was uncomfortable for us too. Like, you know, and I think he kind of like held them accountable. And then Joe kind of backed down and was like, maybe I was wrong. It's like, yeah, you were wrong. You were wrong.
Yeah, I thought that, like, I don't know, this is kind of how conflict resolution should go, and that there could be plenty of other groups from this franchise that saw that conversation and could have learned a lesson from it.
Yep. What I don't like, though, is when we're watching a show that's focused on women. It's called The Real Housewives of New Jersey. And we get a group of men saying, you know, the women and their stupid arguments. It's like, shut up. This is a show that's focused on these women. And we're like, yeah, they fight a lot, but like, they provide us endless amounts of entertainment. They're funny. We've been with them through high times and in low times. We've seen their kids grow up. Like, not a lot of other areas on TV do we get to see like women of this age or like whatever. We don't need these dumbass men being like, the women in the arguments, but we're better than that. Like, that's not what the show's about. The show's about the women. They should be in the background. Like, this is why I don't like the husbands on the show. We can have them on the show, but like, we don't need them to have their own storylines, because we don't need these men to be like, you know, women, the dumb women. Blah. It's like, no, that's not what this is. Sorry. Keep it moving. Keep it moving, Joe. Keep it moving.
Yeah, he is one of the more like emotional and volatile in terms of people and their reactions that I've seen within the show.
1000%.
It's just very, very rich for him to be like, but we don't fight like the women do. Then what type of fighting do you call yours, Joe?
Right, Joe. Right.
How
especially once you watch back and you see the history of Joe, like, why don't you keep it? Okay, keep it.
We after their kumbaya session, talk comes up both amongst the men and the women about the upcoming trip to Nashville, Nash Vegas, and if Teresa is going to be coming. And
Teresa's the head of this fucking show. Yeah. Of course, Teresa's coming. Let's not be ridiculous. There would be no show if it weren't for Teresa. So of course she's going on the trip. Let's not be ridiculous. And I can't believe that this was even like a topic of discussion. Like, of course Teresa's coming on the trip.
It's a topic of discussion because Teresa's not there. You know what I mean? Like, this was their time for all however many rest of them what is it, like 5 plus Tracy to get their moment of, did I make, was I right?
No, I
Is
just
it
hate
4 plus
her, so
Tracy?
I can't even like. Yeah,
She
5
was
plus
there.
Trace 5.
So it's Dolores, Margaret, Jen, Melissa.
Yeah,
What housewife am I missing?
Jackie.
Jackie, and then Tracy. Okay, hey, I rattled that off
You did,
correctly.
yeah, you did.
Pat on the back.
My eye roll was for Tracy's name in general, like just like
She's part of this whether you want to admit it or not, Katie.
she's a very little, tiny, small part, and will not be for long. That's for sure.
The good news is you don't have to worry about Tiki Barber tackling you for your comments because he can't tackle for shit. He admitted that himself on this episode.
That's true.
I
That's
did
true.
like it's. I mean, I think it was Jerry Rice who actually initially had the answer of like, the only reason I was so fast is because I didn't want to get hit by people. And when he was like, "You want to know why I was so good?" Like I was running scared. I didn't want to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
But I also can understand that entirely. Anyway, whether or not we want to admit it, Tracy is along for the ride currently. And this was their
What did
chance
we
to,
do?
like,
What did we
they're
do to
all
deserve
together
that?
and talk about it. Because really, what is Jen's not in a place to defend her right now. Jen is just
No.
becoming like friendly with these women again. Is she going to ruin it over? I don't know if you'll agree that, like, to an extent, some of the things that are being said are maybe not justifiable, but at least like reasonable to have the opinion. Like, Jen's not dumb. She's not going to jump into.
No, I don't think Jen should have to. I think keep it. Let's not get in the middle of any more conflict for now, Jen.
Yeah. And Margaret kind of went off and she was like, she puts men on a pedestal. She says she won't fight with men because Tracy's big thing is like, why are you mad at me for something that Tiki asked Louis? And I did notice it when they did like last week on whatever, that Teresa made a comment of like, you got Tiki to ask him this question, where we've seen other instances this season already with Tiki where he kind of like, he said to Joe in the very first episode, he's like, okay, that's your sister. Like, what do you think about this? Like, Tiki's on the screen for 36 seconds and he's already asking like a bit deeper questions than I think the average bear does.
Yep.
So I don't think that Tracy was like, oh, today you have to ask this. Like, make sure you
No,
do.
I
I
think
think
Tiki
Tiki
is
asked it
just as
himself.
fame thirsty as Tracy. I think
Yeah.
they're both taking the Melissa and Joe playbook of using Teresa for screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them.
So I understand.
But Tracy did it too. Tracy does ask questions too and stick her nose in other people's business too. Like she
But
did it
she asked
at the shore.
Teresa. I think that her point of like, why you're Teresa specifically said to her like, you had Tiki ask these questions. And she's
Yeah.
like, why is she mad at me for something that my husband did? Like, be mad at him. And then that's where Margaret was like, she said she doesn't fight men.
Well, I think Dolores said she did say to me that she doesn't fight with men.
Oh, right,
And
right, right,
then
right. It
and
was
then
Margaret that said she puts
Margaret
men
got
on the
all
pedestal. You
pissed.
are
Yeah.
correct. You're absolutely
Yeah.
correct.
Because then she got upset with Dolores saying, "Oh, you're making excuses." And then Dolores walked away. She's like, "I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you what she told me. That's it."
Yeah. Yeah. Dolores did take a pro Teresa stance while remaining as neutral as possible.
Well, I think the thing is like I think Teresa's doing what like the men are saying to do is like the men stay out of the women's business. Teresa's handling it with his wife. Maybe she shouldn't have said you told Tiki,
Yeah.
but like Tracy did stick her nose into everybody's business in the beginning of the season when they were at the shore and was asking questions like, why didn't you stand up for Melissa? So it's a reasonable thought to say these two are plotting camera time and are using me. And I don't think she could say that and say like, you're using me for camera time. But I think that's kind of what she's implying of like you had Tiki ask because like you want to be on TV. That's what I think. That's like the backbone of it. But am I giving Teresa too much credit? Maybe. Like for thinking that far, maybe. Maybe she really does just think Tracy is like a Tiki asked a question. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see it. Not I mean, you have a better understanding of Teresa than I ever
I think I give
can.
Teresa a little too much credit sometimes, but
I mean, because you've said that she also like doesn't watch the show.
that's what she said she's watching this season. That's what she told
Okay.
Andy, but historically she has not watched the show. Yeah.
That I could see it being as up front as it is, and just wondering from Tracy's point of view, like I didn't do this. Like, yes, that's my husband, but like she can't control her husband's actions. So
It's true. But I also think Tracy just needs to have a seat. I can't stand her in her Forever 21 dress and her. Just can't do it. I can't do it.
I don't remember what she wore at all. So Forever 21, R.I.P. those days. Too old for that shit.
Yeah, we're not Forever 21. Let's just say that. Some of us are not Forever 21. Okay.
Nope. I did not live up to the store's hype.
No, nor did I.
I'm trying to think, like, I don't even know where most of my clothes come from at this point. They come from like sports arenas because I'll buy like a sweatshirt every place I go,
Yeah.
and like Stitch Fix. Those are like my two main places. I have to send back this month. It's sitting on the ground by my computer. That's where the episode ends. We get another preview of Teresa in Nashville, like slamming shit across the table at Margaret.
Yep.
Hopefully it happens next week because I'm sick of seeing this preview as well.
Yep. My prediction, my prediction. It'll be the very end of the episode.
Yeah.
And we'll get it to be continued.
But that was it for the New Jersey episode. So not a ton happening. I know we talked for a while about both, but also at the same time, like, we're getting to the end of 2 seasons. We're gonna have 3 new ones coming up, and the 3 that are coming, I'm excited for.
Me too. Very excited.
My quick check-in on where I'm at with Atlanta. I remember you being like, I'm not as negative on Portia as you are, Kari. And I'm coming around to, I think Portia had a very bad season with the Phaedra season.
Yeah.
And if Kandi can, in her heart, start to have fun with Portia, tolerate Portia, be friendly. I don't know if they're friends, but be friendly. Like, okay, then who am I to hold a grudge? So, and I understand, like, some of the shit Portia says is just so funny.
She's funny. That's the thing, is that she's funny, and that's why she's a good housewife. I'm okay with her being done though. Like, I think her spinoff really showed, I think, like the real Portia, and it wasn't good. So I think we're at a good ending point with Portia right now. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched a few episodes here and there, and it was like almost like a pro Dennis show and an anti Portia show, which is like I think what the opposite outcome is that they wanted. So yeah.
And wait, what was the premise of that show?
It was like Portia has a new fiance, which was also apparently very dramatic. And he was with someone that was like a friend of in the last season. I don't know who I really didn't watch much of the last season, I'm being honest. And they took their whole family, Portia's whole family, including Dennis and Dennis's mom, to Mexico, somewhere tropical. I think Mexico. I don't really remember, to like hash out all their family stuff. And it was not good. I mean, it was just not good for anybody, really.
Got it. Okay. And I think we're in this season, I'm seeing like the upswing of Marlo. She's like intentionally trying to be less mean. I like Kenya, but she crossed a line when she brought the marching band into Marlo's.
Oh my God, that's like I can like sit here and sometimes like Kenya more hair care get stuck in my head. Like it'll just like pop into my head as a tune that every time I hear Kenya Moore, I'm like, Kenya Moore hair care.
Yeah, that was a few episodes ago for me. And just like Kandi kind of again doubled down on why she's my favorite, because like you get her. So when Kenya comes in and Kandi had told her like, yo, get here, Cynthia's gonna, like, Mike's going to propose to her tonight. And Kenya comes in and is like, I think you're gonna get proposed to. And Kandi pulls her aside and it's just like, fuck you and everything.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Like,
yeah.
Kandi's usually like level-headed and stuff, but like I feel like most of the time she's gone off, she's in the right, and I appreciate that she's willing to do it and like call Kenya out for it. But I think and they're just getting to Carnival. So
okay.
Nene hasn't shown up yet, but they just saw that like the word for word message that was written in the card for Cynthia made it on a blog. So now they're skeptical that like, oh,
Uh-huh.
so Nene released this to the blogs to make herself
Right.
look
Right.
good.
Right.
And they kind of, I don't know if a physical altercation actually happens, but we get at least the preview of like Kenya and Nene getting pretty upset with each other. So I have that coming up in my near future, maybe
Okay.
today, maybe
And then
not.
what do you have? One more season after that, or
I
two?
think this is it season 11 or 12 I'm on right now? I'm not sure. I think this is near the end of season 11 and 14 is about to start. So I think I need to watch.
Okay.
I think I could be wrong.
I just don't remember what happened in the season after that. They went to Japan already?
Yeah, that was last season. So like Eva's super pregnant right now. Something that I do like. Oh shoot, I just accidentally started the episode. Oh no, this is season 12.
Okay.
So
So
I
you have
just
one
have
more. Yeah.
13. Yeah,
Wow, you're almost there.
I'm gonna make it. Um, Something that I do appreciate about what they've done at this point in Atlanta is you have a lot of friends. Like you have Marlo, you have Tanya, however she pronounces her name.
Yeah.
You have Jamia, you have Yvonne or whatever her name is. I'm not big on her yet. I'm trying to think of like any other friends that you know enough about each of them that when they pop up, it's not annoying that they're there
Yeah.
because they
You have a
do
deep bench.
contribute. Yeah.
And they're actually friends with them. Like, you know, like Portia and Shamia are actually friends. So it's like it makes sense. And Candy, I think, is friendly with Shamia. So it like makes sense that she would be around for events. You don't need a storyline around her. It makes sense that she's there. She pops in and out. That's how it should be with friends of. Like it shouldn't be like they're only there for one season and then they disappear. Like if they're friends, they should be friends.
Yeah. So I like that that is happening here because when one of them is there, you aren't like, wait, who? Or like, why are you here? I think they do a good job of like continuing to bring them back. Now, is it so that someone like Marlo can finally get her peach or whatever?
Finally.
Yeah,
She's been on the show, I feel like, for a decade at this point.
I'm interested to see. I know she's been around for so long. I'm interested to see how like the rest of this season, and then I guess what she is like next season in terms of like the build up into her finally getting a peach. Because I do wonder if someone at Bravo sat her down and was like, "Listen, this is why you're not getting your peach. Like every time you're on, you're being a bitch. Like we need a balance."
Yeah, it
You know
could
what I
be.
mean?
And I think you might not have gotten to the part with her nephews yet. So
No,
yeah.
her nephews are. She's like Monty right now or whatever.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's that season. Okay. Yeah. And I think that helped kind of like show a different side of her. And they saw like, oh, you actually have like a story at home that we can follow. Whereas before it was just like, you know, she'd be around, she'd be part of drama, but that's it. You need like more, it needs
She
to be
also
more well rounded.
like took Nini's dick out of her mouth for a minute,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like while she did still defend Nini, she also is willing to hear other people's sides and understand their perspective, and then go to Nini and be like, "Hey, so like, do you think that you're 100% right here? What about
Yeah.
this or whatever?" Um, which I appreciated. So again, I have no knowledge behind this, but I have a conspiracy theory, especially now that Marlo is going to be a full-on cast member, is that maybe before this season started, because we definitely saw a different Marlo in season 12 than we had at any point before this, of like, yes, you're good at bringing the drama. Yes, you're good at like reading people and providing shade, but it can't be all of this. And the only person that you provide like niceties to is Nini. Like it needs to, you have to be a bit more integrated positively with people, and you see that in season 12. So I'm wondering how season 13 Marlo is, to see how she's like finally elevated herself, because as of last week I was completely flabbergasted that Marlo
That she was a,
I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like she's meaner. She's the meanest person who's come through this, and she's grown.
yeah.
I'll give her that. So I am interested in seeing how it goes. But that's where I'm at in Atlanta. Very close to being
Close. I know.
and
It's been
then
a long
on
ride.
to Miami and then New Jersey. Well, that's that. Is there anything else that we need to talk about in the Real Housewives universe that's happened or happening? Or
I don't think so. I'm excited for Beverly Hills. feels weird to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like Rinna is going to be at her peak villainess this season. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the trailer looks promising, but you never know what we're going to get sometimes with these ladies. So
You said
um
Rinna, and it awoke Nitro from his deep sleep.
it wakes
Apparently,
everybody. Should awake everybody. She's
yeah,
chilling.
she's something.
She is.
It's really the only way I can describe her.
Hmm.
All right. Well, Katie, what are you doing on the internet these days?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Real Slim Katie. I don't really do anything at all on Instagram, but you can follow me on Twitter for whatever it is that you follow people on Twitter for. And you can find me on Twitch at Real Slim Katie. I'm sorry, at twitch.tv/Real Slim Katie with an underscore at the end. Yesterday, I did a 12-hour celebration anniversary stream, played a lot of games with people in the community. It was very fun. So we're going to just keep going strong on Twitch. And you can also find me at Silent Podcast talking about Big Brother Canada 10. We're having a great time. We have Isaiah, we have Josie, we have Lance, and we cover all things happening with the season. We rank the players every week. We have some really great guests. We just had Spicy V last week, I think. So we're doing it big over there in Big Brother Canada coverage. So excited to be a part of that panel.
Nice. Yeah, I got the notification in my email yesterday saying that you went live.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize you were doing 12 hours. Was that planned? Or just like
It was planned.
Okay.
It was planned. Yeah, that was a planned thing.
That's a lot of hours.
It was.
Oh, is
It
that
was a
why you
lot.
were like, okay, because last week we were like, what day? And you're like, I can't do Saturday. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we're streaming for 12 hours. That makes perfect sense.
Yep. Noon to midnight. Made
Nice.
it through.
That's a lot of sitting. I wouldn't be able
Yeah,
to.
I standed. Oh my God. I stood toward the end.
That's what
I
it
have a
felt
standing
like.
desk. I have a standing desk.
I
Yes,
standed.
that's where my brain is right now. I was standed. Yeah.
Well, for me, I am KGD26 on Twitter and Instagram. I mean, my Instagram is basically just Nitro, and my Twitter is mostly also just Nitro. Just kidding, but you're gonna get actually a lot more like Red Sox tweets from me now that it's baseball season. I've decided that I want to be a bit more active in the Twitter community because there's so many dumb Red Sox fans that I feel like I need to negate the stupidity. And so I'll hashtag those in case you want to meet the shit out of that hashtag. Understandable. But yeah, if you want to see all of my bad baseball takes, that'll be on Twitter. In addition to, it's hard. I wish like I would get more engagement tweeting about Real Housewives of Atlanta because I'm sure that in the moment, some of this shit like Twitter was wild for.
Yes, this is your season.
Yeah, coming up. I really am
Mhm.
gonna have to try my best to like watch live, which annoys me because of the commercials. But I'm gonna really try my best because there's things that I've tweeted that I'm like, if I had tweeted this when the episode was on, I'm going viral. Like this is, or like things that I thought of to tweet, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get engagement with this because this is from like 2015 when no one gives a fuck about it anymore.
Yeah. I
So
got a lot of likes on an Orange County tweet about like, am I crazy? I know what Shannon is saying. Put a pin in
yeah,
it, like pop it. And people were like, yes. And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm not alone.
yeah. I need to. I'm not good at watching live. I tend to like save things for the weekend.
Hmm.
But I'll do my best for Atlanta to try and be a part of the online conversation. So if that interests you at all, follow me. If not, just keep not following me. Live your life. I will still sleep well at night. It's fine. So, in terms of Silent Podcast, you can follow us on Twitch and YouTube, where we are Silent Podcast, and then on Twitter we are Silent_Podcast. We have a ton of stuff going on right now. Actually, I'll keep that up while I'm talking about it. Gia is doing Survivor coverage. Survivor Australia just finished, so Jason's finishing that up. We've got Top Chef with Gia, Nicole, and Naomi, and they've been bringing on guests throughout it. As Katie mentioned, we've got Big Brother Canada coming up soon. Next month, I'll be bringing back Circle coverage. So it sounded like, I didn't even watch the promo to be honest, but our podfather Isaiah messaged me and he's like, I think that it might be a celebrity season. which will be fun.
I think
for
it
the
might be
circle.
too. We have some rumors.
Yeah. So I'll be back with that. Katie and I might have something else in the works. I don't know if it's official yet. Is
We
that
got the
something
thumbs up.
we did?
We got the thumbs up from the Podfather.
The Podfather Isaiah
Mhm.
is allowing us to podcast about real world New Orleans.
Mhm.
So that starts this month too.
Very excited about that. So the Real World New Orleans original season is my favorite season of all time, and they're coming back doing Real World Homecoming. So the cast is coming back, living in the house. I think they'd only do it for like a week or two. So those are short seasons, but they're putting the original season out on Paramount Plus on the 13th, and then the show comes out I think like the 24th or something. So figuring it out, but I'm excited.
Yes. So you're going to get some non-Housewives content from us. And then anything else that's coming along, I'm sure. I think we actually have some X on the Beach discussion in the works as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are any sort of reality TV junkie, we've got some coverage for you. So tune in, follow us, figure out what we're doing, and if there's something you want to hear about, let us know, and we can pass the word along. And really, it just takes a message in the group chat of like, hey, anybody want to talk about this, or can you find anybody that wants to talk about this? And then we usually talk about it. It's really that simple. So, but until then, so next week, we're still at 2 episodes.
Yes, we're still at 2 episodes.
Okay, so
Until May 1st, we'll be on 2 episodes, unless something ends before then, which OC might end before then. I don't know dates, but until May 1st is when Atlanta starts. So we'll be at 2 episodes until then.
Okay, cool. And next week should be a doozy because it looks like we've got the potential of physical violence in New Jersey.
And we have finale of OC.
Teresa might get banned from the Oscars for 10 years for this. We'll see. So,
Maybe.
But until then, enjoy your week. And if you see anything Housewives worthy, tweet us. But until then, we're here on Half Silent Podcast where anything is silent, and we'll catch you next week. Adios.
Bye.